Nobody walks onto the Family Feud stage planning to threaten the host. Nobody drives to the studio, parks the car, gets mic'd up, has their makeup touched, stands behind the curtain waiting for their name to be called, and thinks, "Today, I'm going to threaten Steve Harvey on live television." It just happens. In the heat of a moment, in the specific combustion of adrenaline and competitiveness, and the disorienting experience of suddenly being the person that 50 million people are watching. It happens. And when it does, when someone crosses that line, the question is not whether Steve Harvey is going to respond. He always responds. The question is how. This particular story involves a grandfather named Eugene, 71 years old. Born and raised in Mississippi. A man who had spent 40 years as a high school football coach and had the bearing to prove it. Straight back, strong hands. The particular kind of stillness that belongs to people who have spent decades standing on sidelines waiting for the moment that decides everything. He came on the show with his family, 2 daughters, a son-in-law, and a grandchild who was maybe 9 or 10 and could not stop grinning. The kind of child who understands that they are on television and has decided this is the greatest day of their life. Eugene was clearly the patriarch, the cornerstone. The family orbited him not out of fear, but out of respect, the earned kind, the kind that takes decades to build. Even his daughters, grown women with their own households and opinions, deferred to him with something that looked like affection and something that looked like awe. The game started well. Eugene was sharp, 71 years old, and he was hitting answers before Steve finished the questions. The audience loved him. There's something about a sharp older man on a game show that audiences respond to at a cellular level. The combination of earned wisdom and competitive fire is almost irresistible to watch. They made it deep into the game. The other family was strong, but Eugene's family was holding their own. Points were close. The pressure built. And then came the answer that Eugene disputed. The question was something about what people keep in their junk drawer. Eugene answered batteries. A reasonable answer. A common answer. But the survey said something slightly different. Batteries versus just batteries. And the judges ruled it didn't count. Eugene disagreed with this ruling. He disagreed with it the way a man who has spent 40 years coaching football disagrees with a bad call. Loudly, clearly, without any particular concern for the consequences. "That answer is right," Eugene said. "Batteries is batteries." Steve Harvey nodded. "I understand why you feel that way, sir, but the survey is wrong," Eugene said. The audience laughed. Steve smiled. "Still manageable." "Now, sir, I can't argue with the survey. You can argue with whatever you want," Eugene said. "You're the host. You got the microphone." More laughter. A little more edge now. The energy shifting. Steve Harvey tilted his head. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to. I'm 71 years old," Eugene said, pointing at Steve Harvey with a deliberateness that sent a ripple through the audience. "I have been alive longer than this show has been on the air. I have forgotten more about what people keep in their junk drawers than whoever wrote that survey ever knew. And I am telling you that batteries is the right answer." The audience wasn't sure whether to laugh or hold their breath. Steve Harvey looked at Eugene for a long moment, and then he did something that completely disarmed the moment. He laughed. Not a polite television laugh, a real laugh, the kind that starts somewhere in the chest and takes over before you can control it. "Sir," Steve Harvey said, when he could speak again, "I have been doing this show for years. I have had people argue with me. I have had people cry. I have had people faint. But I have never, not once, had a man with that kind of posture, that kind of presence, point a finger at me with that kind of authority and tell me the survey was wrong. Eugene held his ground, still pointing, still certain. Because the survey is wrong, he said. I believe you believe that, Steve Harvey said. I don't just believe it, I know it. Steve Harvey walked toward Eugene slowly. The way you approach something that has to be handled with care. He stopped about 2 feet away and looked at him directly. Coach, Steve said, and everyone heard that word, coach, and understood what it meant. Let me ask you something. In 40 years of coaching, did you ever have a referee make a call you disagreed with? Eugene's jaw tightened slightly, more times than I can count. And did the call stand anyway? A pause. A long pause. The pause of a man who knows where this is going and is deciding whether to let it arrive. Most times, Eugene said. Most times, Steve Harvey repeated. Not because the ref was right. Sometimes the ref was wrong. But because the game has rules, and the rules have to stand for the game to mean anything. Eugene was quiet. You spent 40 years teaching young people that, didn't you? Steve Harvey said. That you play within the rules. That you argue your case, and then you accept the call. Because the alternative is chaos. And chaos doesn't make champions. Something crossed Eugene's face. Something that was not quite surrender, but was adjacent to it. The specific expression of a man who has been out-coached and knows it and can respect it. That's true, Eugene said. Quietly, Steve Harvey extended his hand. Eugene took it. The audience, which had been holding its collective breath for roughly 90 seconds, exhaled in one enormous wave. And the boy, the grandchild who had been grinning since they walked out, he grabbed Eugene's arm and said, loud enough for the microphone to catch it, Grandpa, you almost got into a fight with Steve Harvey. Eugene looked down at him. And then Eugene did something that the audience would talk about for years. He winked. Almost, he said. The place came apart. Here is what this story is actually about. Underneath the grandpa and the batteries and the pointing finger. It's about the specific skill of de-escalation, the ability, in the middle of a moment that could go sideways, to find the thread that connects you to the other person and pull on it gently until the tension releases. Steve Harvey is extraordinarily good at this. Not because he's never felt the pull of a confrontation. He has talked openly about his own temper, his own history of responding to conflict in ways he's not proud of, not because he never wants to fire back, but because he has learned, through decades of experience, that the most powerful position in a confrontation is usually the one that doesn't look like power at all. He didn't overpower Eugene. He didn't dismiss him. He didn't condescend to him. He found the thing Eugene had built his entire life around, the code of the coach, the rules of the game, and he reflected it back to him. And Eugene, who was a man of genuine integrity beneath all that competitive fire, recognized the reflection and responded to it. That's not a television technique. That's a human technique. The kind that works in living rooms and boardrooms and neighborhood disputes and family arguments that have been going on for years without resolution. Find the thing the other person actually believes in, speak to that, and let the truth of it do the work. After the show, Eugene and Steve Harvey shook hands again backstage. Someone who was present said Eugene told Steve, "You're a good coach." From Eugene, that was everything. The boy, the grandchild, he went home and told everyone at school that his grandpa almost fought Steve Harvey and won. The story grew in the telling, the way the best stories do. By the time it got to the third or fourth retelling, apparently Eugene had been moments away from an actual brawl. Eugene, by all accounts, has never corrected this version of the story. He is 71 years old. He has earned the right to let a good story live.